and welcome. I am Matthew Msingati, the designer and developer from South Africa. This is a video that I always wanted to do, but obviously I didn't get some time. So let's just jump straight into what are we going to learn in this video. Okay, so the first thing that I want us to talk about is learning to code on the internet, specifically on YouTube. Okay, so when I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos, okay, maybe a certain developer front end path, okay, this is what I always see. Okay, you start on YouTube, okay, you start from point A, okay, you learn a lot of things here, and then you will move up until you reach, let's say, point 10, assuming that this is where, as a developer, you make a lot of money, you got hired by a big company, and you are living a successful life. So this is the impression that I always get. But I always felt like, to me, it has been the opposite. Okay, let me just quickly give you an idea of how it is for me. Okay, I started here with a decision that I want to be a front-end developer, switching from graphic design. Okay, so this is what happened. This is like real. Okay, I'm not trying to exaggerate it. This is real. Okay, so it's seems like this. Okay, so at some point you feel like this is a smiling car, you don't know what's going on there. At some point it looks like it's fire, you don't know if it's Vegeta's hair from Dragon Ball Z. Okay, so this is where I am, and this is my reality. As less interesting as it is, but first of all, to accept it as a reality, I think that's step number one of my path. Maybe it might happen you are also somewhere here, but because of us as YouTube developers and teachers and instructors, we are presenting a linear path. Maybe you always felt like there is something wrong with you. I am Matthew Msingati. I am the hybrid, the designer and the developer from South Africa. I'm here to tell you that you are not alone. Okay, this is where I am at the moment. So if this video sounds interesting, please don't forget just to hit that subscribe button. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is my own path, okay, about coding. Okay, it's not straight, this is where you go and boom, and then you're successful. No. Okay, so obviously take what I'm saying and think about it and make your own conclusion. This is not an absolute. Okay, so some time ago you've decided to start this web development thing. Maybe you went to university, just like me, or maybe you just learned from a boot camp, or you've been inspired. Maybe you saw a friend becoming a developer and now you are pursuing a career, whatever the case may be. Okay, the first thing that you need to do, or basically the first thing you do, okay, number one, let me just write it here. Okay, number one, you will have to learn the syntax. Okay, you will have to learn the syntax. Obviously I have skipped some minor stages like choosing a programming language and whatever, so I'm just assuming that you have found a language that you maybe that is interesting to you, or that you think it's easier for you to learn. Okay, for me, we're just going to say JavaScript or React, even though I started on PHP and all that jazz. Okay, so the first thing that you learn the syntax. Okay, so in this stage you are new in coding. Okay, coding looks cool, it's interesting, it's some sort of this fun thing. Okay, so here you jump from one tutorial to another. Okay, jump from this tutorial to that tutorial to that tutorial. Okay, in this stage you are very selective into the YouTube tutorials that you watch, and most often than not, okay, you watch cool tutorials. Okay, you just open a tutorial and see what is this guy trying to say. If the user interface is not nice, there are no animation, if there's nothing interesting, okay, the user interface is cool, you usually don't watch those videos. Okay, so the challenge of this step, as necessary as it is, because you want to learn the syntax, you want to learn how things are done. Okay, let me just give you a brief of what is a syntax. You want to know how to declare an array in JavaScript. Maybe you know how to declare it in PHP, but you want to know in JavaScript. Okay, you want to know what can you do with JavaScript. Can I create my own application? Can I create an e-commerce? Okay, so this is a fun stage we're exploring, and here you've got the most energy. Okay, you've got the energy here. Okay, the challenge about this step is that there is something wrong about it, more especially on the beginners. Number one, you choose tutorials to watch based on how cool they are. Okay, the risk to that, cool doesn't translate to legit or best practice. Okay, so if you are on this stage, you choose the project based on how nice and cool they are. Okay, so as I'm saying, the challenge is that some other nice application and cool application, okay, when the instructor on Udemy or on the platform, okay, YouTube, when they are showing you how to create that application, okay, it might happen they are not applying the best practices, okay, even the simplest. Okay, so you will realize that when you get into the production level, okay, that's what is needed. Okay, so in the production level, we don't want to, the employer is not interested on you getting the code to function. Okay, but is it scalable? Is it maintainable? How easy it is for somebody else to understand it? It's a different mentality. Okay, so the challenge that we get into, okay, we start here and collect every technique, okay, that doesn't really work in production, and then when we are supposed to be here to become the master and we want programming to pay us, we want to make a living, now we have to unlearn because we've collected a lot of random techniques, coding techniques, which they are not needed in the work environment. They are a problem, okay, in the work environment. For instance, let me just give you a simple example. Okay, a new guy, when we are asking him to create a to-do list, okay, they ask you, where is Visual Studio Code, so that I can type in code. Okay, but here in the work environment, okay, whenever there is a new feature that is going to be added, okay, there is a lot of stages, starting from the fact that you are going to be given, let's say, a Figma file. Okay, you are not used to that. Okay, you want to just jump to Visual Studio Code and quickly work. And number two, there is some sort of a planning. Okay, this is what we need to do, this is where the company is, or this is the problem that we are solving. Okay, and then you are given the task to solve the problem. Okay, most often than not, it is not the running code that doesn't crash, that works, but your thinking and your solution, how efficient and how simple it is, it's more valuable in the work environment. Okay, imagine as a new guy, you write a working code, now the company is successful, it's getting a lot of traction, a lot of users. When you are asked tomorrow to make changes on your own code, it breaks. Don't you think that is a problem? At least for me, I think that is a problem. So this is stage number one. It's fun. The challenge is you listen to Matthew and you listen to the other guy and find out that these guys are saying like contradicting statement about programming, about doing. Okay, so meaning that you have a responsibility to some sort of filter the knowledge. It is your responsibility to filter the knowledge. Okay, and then let's get to step number two. Okay, and then after you learned the syntax, you become comfortable and you feel like, okay, I can attempt projects. Okay, this is where you, let me just write here. Okay, project based. Okay, let's see if science can't help us here. Okay, I'm assuming as I am writing, okay, maybe the ink is moving to this direction, so my pen is dry, so I'm gonna try to keep this like this as much as I can. Okay, just trying to apply my own mind here. Okay, so that it can be always wet. Okay, so in this stage, it's project based. This is where you start to do your to-do list. Okay, what else sort of, not hello world, I think hello world is here. So here you are attempting your to-do list, maybe your forms. Okay, a React form, and what else, maybe you are attempting to create a normal landing page website and your e-commerce. Okay, the problem that you get from here, you don't have the strength. Okay, as much as the intelligence is needed, but the strength, the heart, the will, okay, it's needed. at some point you need to remind yourself why you got started. Okay, you've got dreams to fulfill. Okay, you've got a family to feed, you've got life to some sort of elevate, take to another level. So here we need basically those, because it's easy here, not your weakness here, you don't finish the projects. Okay, so here the weakness is that you don't finish projects. Okay, you are always caught up in your own feeling. Okay, if it's not cool, you quickly dump it and leave it. Okay, so the most important thing here, okay, is to finish. If you can finish a project here, I'm proud of you. Okay, it's difficult to finish projects here. Okay, so the most important thing, finish it. Okay, okay, create a to-do list, whether you are following it from Udemy or from YouTube, but at least start it and finish it. Okay, there is something very important about finishing, even in real life generally. Okay, if you finish something, you are more wiser. Okay, you are more well-rounded. Okay, you know a lot about stages in between. But if here you are not going to finish those projects, okay, you are going to have a problem of overrating yourself. Okay, people, developers who has never finished any project, they think, I'm not sure, it's easier for them to think they have reached a professional level. Okay, I'm not sure it, I've been asking a lot of developers, I realize that there is a big gap to what he thinks and what he actually knows, maybe about React or even PHP. So if you don't finish projects here, you quickly think that you know something. Remember, here you are following someone doing something and you are learning the syntax. Also here, it's easy to think that you understand. Okay, unless, until you apply it, okay, until it becomes your skill, then you can start to say that you understand it. So you carry this knowledge of watching like 4 tutorials a day, and when you are here, everything seems easier. You know, you don't want to quickly finish a to-do list because you feel like this guy is you know, I know whatever that they are going to teach. So always finish your own project. Okay, now everybody will do something over and over again until they ask themselves, what am I doing? Okay, so here now you are starting to get into advancing. Okay, you want to be paid for what you're doing. Okay, so here let's say it's either you are going to take on client projects. Okay, client projects. Okay, client projects or employment. Okay, it's either you are going to brush up your CV. Okay, you are going to brush up your CV and start looking for employment. One other tip, okay, from here to here, okay, from this stage up to here, there is a greatest opponent or some sort of, let's say, the devil around you. Okay, and that devil is what can I say, I'm not sure if it's low self-esteem, it's self-doubt, but you are not confident. Okay, this is something that you need to improve. Okay, and how are you going to be confident? Okay, if you can finish, let's say, 20 projects. Okay, it doesn't matter for a certain period. Okay, in any duration, maybe in 3 months or 6 months, okay, or even in 2 years, I don't mind. But if you can finish 20 projects, okay, there's a saying that says numbers don't lie. Okay, if you can finish 20 projects, let's say, automatically you won't have a confidence problem. Okay, because now you've got the muscle memory. There are some things that you know by heart. Okay, because of, okay, so if you are not doing much here, okay, your enemy will be like your self-confident. It will show up on the interviews, it will show up when somebody gives you the work, it will always show up. You are not confident. It's a problem. Okay, as much as we think as developers life revolves around how smart I am, also when I was in varsity and some after time when I was done with varsity, I thought it's around that. Okay, I used to think if I can show you a very like complicated code to show you how smart I am, maybe you might say, hey, this guy, he can think outside the box. And that's not the case. Life is more than that. Okay, you are a human being, you live amongst other human beings. Therefore, how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself, and how you present yourself matters. Okay, there are some people who got the jobs who obviously were no different than me, but I think they carried themselves better than me. Okay, with me for the longest time I was very casual. Okay, most of my employment and my jobs I got them over the, maybe I meet somebody in a grocery store, and in the conversation I talk too much and they will say, okay, I've got this company, and it will be like that. Okay, so I have not been some sort of sharp on in an interview presentation. I was not that type of a guy. Okay, so I hook with somebody up over WhatsApp, and then they will say, look, I like your skills. And so my employment has been like that. Okay, and I accepted it, and I find it out that this works for me. Okay, so I was not very good on presenting myself in a on an interview. Okay, what are the disadvantages, or what are the pitfalls? Okay, if you are not good at that, number one, I always sold myself less. Okay, I couldn't negotiate. Okay, I would be asked, how much do you want, and then I would like stretching fingers, and I'm not sure, because when you learn coding from different places, YouTube and whatever, it's very difficult to estimate your own value. So the other thing that you need to quickly master here, have a certain estimate of your own value. Okay, here is the problem. If your estimation of your own value is too high than what you can bring, it's embarrassing. Okay, also be careful of that. Okay, you need not to overrate yourself, but at the same time you need not to be like me, sell yourself cheap and then pay the little amount of money and you don't have money for transport, for groceries, and so enough about that. So in this stage you will take on projects and you will take employment. Okay, so here, that's where thinking about code becomes more important. Okay, I've got some students. Okay, so when I meet them, I can see that they always come to me with a list. We want to know, what can I say, we want to know use state hook, redux. They will mention things that at some point I don't even know. Okay, there are some things that I don't know. Okay, they will mention a lot of things. So as you can see, they are still stuck in this chaos. Okay, that feeling of want to do everything and want to, I'm not sure, to prove your own intelligence, and want to go as quick as possible. I do understand that, but I always try in a respectful way to tell them that I wish I can teach you how to think about coding. Okay, it's a very important skill. Okay, if as a developer, when you are asked, or when you're given a problem, okay, you want Visual Studio Code and you open your laptop, for me, I think there's a level which is better than that. Okay, nowadays I spend here in the office, I don't see my code. Okay, if it was closer to me, I was going to show you. Nowadays I print my code. Okay, I write a module, I print it, and then from then I will take a highlighter and I will highlight some things. Okay, why am I doing this? Why this is here? Is it working? It's like I'm debugging a code traditionally. Okay, as if I'm taking a ruler, checking it line by line. Okay, it helps me, it sharpens my reasoning skill about coding, and it improves my logic. Okay, so here you need to really think about code. Okay, in closing, when I'm closing this tutorial, I'm just going to give you some sort of a snapshot of how to think about code, what type of problems, okay, that you can solve. I'm not going to get into Visual Studio Code. I'm going to show you everything is going to be some sort of a React problem. I'm going to show you here in the board how you think about it. And when you get into code, for some reason your code becomes beautiful. Okay, because it has been well thought of. Okay, obviously that comes with practicing a lot, finishing a lot of projects, so that you can understand how React works. Okay, you know where to put your hooks. Okay, you don't throw your hooks around and then you get some errors and hydration errors and all those things. So here in this stage, on stage number 3, thinking about code becomes vital. Okay, becomes vital. I think, I might be wrong, but I think the highest paid developers, they are not paid for developing. Okay, they are paid for thinking. My best assumption, my best guess, I might be wrong, architects are paid more than coders and front-end engineers, or people who think structurally. Okay, now let's continue. So here, guys, the most important thing is thinking. Okay, and also one tip here, you need to be, as I have said, you need to be money conscious here. Okay, start exchanging your own thought process or your coding skill for money, kickstart it here. Okay, when you are here in this stage, kickstart it. Okay, and then here on stage number 4, we can say this is where you need to specialize. Okay, okay, you need to specialize. Okay, so you need to somewhat be a specialist, narrow down. If you can look at my own YouTube channel, I started the channel as a designer. Okay, random design videos, graphic design. I've got a lot of experience in design. Okay, so as time goes by, I was like, hey, this channel is not going the way I want to, and also in terms of life, I'm not fulfilled. Something is going wrong. Okay, I need to some sort of pivot. So I got into front end. Okay, and then I got a job, I work, and I got some side project. Okay, I was refining my own skills. Okay, so I ended up falling in love with React. Okay, and also remember, it's not something that I like. What can I say? I intentionally did. Okay, I was about to be given a work, and then the employer said, do something with Next.js or React, I think, and Tailwind. Okay, so that was the challenge I was given. Obviously, I wanted to improve my life. At least I've managed to land a job. So since I got into React, let me try to draw React logo. Okay, I hope my drawing skills. Okay, I hope this is the React logo. Okay, at least I've tried. Okay, so ever since I got into React, I had to make a conscious decision, a choice. I have to be deliberate that I have to stick here. Okay, let me find value around React. Obviously, I'm still going to teach some of the other things, but I think I'm comfortable here. Okay, so you need to some sort of specialize. Okay, I think now here, this is the entrance, the beginning of becoming a professional. Okay, you are now warming up, you are about to be a professional. Okay, sooner or later you will be paid for your own thoughts. Okay, I think that's a whole some sort of overarching goal, okay, of the whole thing. So when you are here, please try to specialize. Okay, so I think the next step is not a step necessarily. I think it's a tech tool. Okay, I'm going to talk about TypeScript, so let me not mark it as a step because it might not be applicable to somebody else. Okay, but if you are a JavaScript developer or a modern JavaScript developer or a React developer, I would say, okay, this is where you need to improve your TypeScript skills. Okay, okay, your TypeScript skills will I think you will make more money with TypeScript. Okay, this is some sort of what I think. Okay, based on my own experience and what I'm doing now. Okay, let me just give you an idea. Okay, I'm using ShadCN. Okay, so when I'm looking at ShadCN component, they are clean, nice, straight, short to the point. Okay, if you look at what ShadCN does behind the hood, it's a lot of things. Okay, it's a lot, believe me. Okay, ShadCN takes different technologies and presents to us very clean and with some a little bit of nice styling. So it's a lot of things that ShadCN does behind the scene. Okay, but still it feels clean. Okay, still it feels clean. So now and again, when I'm using ShadCN, I will always go behind the scene to check how they have composed the pattern. Okay, the first thing that I've noticed there, they have got let's say a variable in the utilities folder or file, which is cn. Okay, which is for class names. Okay, so I was like, what is this? What's this in there? I think I used ChatGPT and I was like, okay, it's a short for class names. And when I was looking at what class name does, and I was like, wow, this is powerful. Okay, and then as I am digging into a lot of what can I say, libraries. Okay, I like to go behind the scene to see how these guys write code. Okay, recently I was looking at a Next.js e-commerce sample. Okay, the Next.js e-commerce sample, as big as it is, that sample website or sample web page, the e-commerce web page, on the entrance script, okay, it only has got 20 lines. Okay, that was interesting to me. 20 lines. Okay, so I then have to ask myself, how do these guys write a code this way Why, when I'm writing the same code, I'm going to have almost like 260 lines? What's going on? So I had to some sort of learn from that, and it started when I some sort of pinned the problem to me that there is something wrong with me. Okay, so I need to change. So back to where I was, I realized these guys behind the scene, they are making use of TypeScript. Okay, you will see this infer as this, if this, in this, and then this extends this. Okay, so I was like, it looks like if I can try to improve my skill in this guy, maybe I can be a better developer. Okay, so I did. I try improving, up until I got into the problem that I'm going to share with you, just to give you an idea of how do you think about code. Okay, I hope this is helping you. Okay, number one, to give you an idea of, number one, it's not an easy thing to learn coding from YouTube, believe me, or Udemy or whatever. It's, if you are struggling, we are all struggling. Okay, it's not your fault. Maybe some people, they make it look easy. Okay, well, but it's not easy. Okay, believe me, it's not easy. I hope you have taken some notes. Okay, so now let's get into the planning. I'm going to share with you the problem that I am trying to solve now. Okay, obviously I'm still busy with it. Okay, so this code includes the one that I had to some sort of write it on paper. Okay, in this channel I've got a series on, in fact, what can I say, yeah, I've got a series on my own SaaS. Okay, and I'm sharing there how it failed, because it was just a spaghetti code. I had to be honest, it was confusing, it was not what I want. So in trying to improve, okay, in any application, okay, you've got a page. Okay, okay, this page has got a form. Okay, the form has got some input, and the form has got a button. Simple, right? Yes. As simple as what I've written here is, okay, it is the start of thinking about code. This, to me, I think it's the gold, okay, of software development. Okay, when you, if you can do this and this and this, when you get into coding, it becomes easier. Obviously, it's not easy to just think about it and go to code and once and just type. No, obviously it's a series of implementing, going back, implementing, going back. But I would like to believe, I might be wrong. Okay, this is how big companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon, Netflix, okay, your Airbnb, they come up with, this is how they dig and come up with beautiful pieces of technology, and they give it to us for free. Okay, when you are working on a project and you involved a lot of planning, okay, automatically, okay, you become strategic, and also you become like an architect. Okay, why? Because you don't want to repeat yourself. Okay, it's painful to repeat yourself, it's painful to solve bugs, and okay, so you start thinking like an architect, you start to modularize things. Okay, so meaning that if you code that way, chances are you will do that and do that and do that, and sooner or later you are going to discover something. Let's say the guys at Facebook, they were working on a JavaScript project, whatever, and for some reason React came about. Boom. So somebody asked, how do they, it's the planning. Okay, so obviously if you've got any project, you've got the forms here. Okay, I wanted to improve. I was like, what am I going to use? I heard there is something called React Hook Forms. Okay, there is React Hook Forms. I tested it, I've checked some tutorials, it was interesting. Okay, so it's like it can help me with my own form. Okay, cool, that is, let's call it a piece of technology. Okay, and then after that, I noticed there is a React query, which is now 10 stack query. Okay, there is React query. Okay, make things a lot easier for me, more especially managing like async states. Okay, so I quickly checked it. Okay, I was like, this thing works magic. Okay, if when I'm updating a certain method that creates a record, this piece of technology can refresh every table, okay, or every data that is dependent upon that one automatically, okay. So I'm not going to get deep into it, but I'm just giving you an idea, okay. So I had React hook form, and I had React query, and then React hook form comes with what can we say, let's say a validator, okay, a validator, which at this point in time for me it's yep, okay. Maybe you call this a different way, yep, no problem, okay. As you can see, now we've got another piece of technology, okay. Without going further, okay, as you can see, this is telling you this can quickly become a chaos, okay, meaning that the piece of tech that you got here, now it requires another piece of tech, and then but if you are saving, you must connect to some sort of an async fetch method, okay, meaning that you must connect to a server and API, and then there's also another piece of technology that will help you in the API, okay. So I had to find a way to manage all of this chaos. So I came up with my own thing, okay. And my own thing was inter, okay. I came up with inter, okay. The word inter came from an interface, okay. So I was like, okay, cool, I think here I need to have an interface, a middleman between everything API and my own project. So I call this technique a hinge technique, okay. If you know a normal hinge, okay, if you know a hinge, this one, okay, I hope my drawing skills, okay. So what a hinge does, it makes sure that it creates flexibility between the wood and the door, okay. So if I've got my application here, okay, if I've got my app here, okay, my app needs to know nothing about any API related methods, okay. What will be the hinge between these is going to be inter, okay. So inter needs to intercept the communication, okay. So the app has got some certain rules of engagement when it comes to API. It doesn't depend on a direct fetch, okay. It doesn't depend on direct fetch, it doesn't depend on Axios, okay, but it depends on inter, okay. I want all my application to depend on one thing, okay, so that I can create an app without knowing how is it going to connect to the database, okay. So to me, that was a big win, okay. So what inter does, okay, let me just type here, right here. So what inter does, provide, let's say 4 methods for me, which is the create, read, update, and delete, okay. As I'm working on this project, okay, I added another one, okay, which is upload. I just realized that as I'm working, there is a need for this inter to be able to upload. So this ended up being W, but not W, not W, but 2 U's, okay. So it ended up being this. So these are the methods that inter exposes, okay, so that my app, whenever it wants to make a create method, it will call this create, okay, from inter. If how inter is going to handle it, it doesn't care about that, okay. Same as reading, same as updating, same as uploading, same as deleting, okay. Cool. I worked on this, I refined it until it was working perfect. It was giving me what I want, okay. How did I got about to finish it and it becomes what I want? I had to rely on TypeScript, okay. It consumed a lot of my TypeScript knowledge, okay. There's a lot of generics that I had to do, okay. What is amazing, or at least for me, about this inter, you know what it does? It encapsulates all the API communication such that when I'm calling a create method, okay, I'm creating a record. When I want to, okay, I can pass a flag here to tell it that here I want you to use fetch, okay, What if maybe I want to use Axios? Okay, I can always change this from here and tell it here in this method to use Axios. Okay, for future, as I'm developing it, I am going to make sure that inter enables me to even create what's this thing, my apologies about that. Now I just quickly forgot. So I've got a normal fetch, I've got Axios, and I want to add now a GraphQL capability. Okay, so that I can just pass, let's say, G here, then I know that I'm going to pass the data that relates to GraphQL. This has saved me some time. Okay, it took time to finish it. Okay, because it consumed knowledge that I didn't have. Okay, I had to watch a lot of Matt Parcock, if I'm pronouncing his name right, is a TypeScript wizard. So I had to consume a lot of his content. Okay, I had to get lost in how he does things, and he's a best explainer. Okay, but I'm a beginner, so TypeScript is advanced. I'm getting there. I'm reading documentation, but now I have managed to build this. Okay, so in closing, what I did now, okay, this is the structure of all my applications, or how all my applications will be. Okay, this has helped me to be a little bit fast, okay, a little bit quicker, so things are better. Okay, things are better. Okay, so now this is my architecture. Okay, so I've got inter here. Okay, this is inter. Okay, React query doesn't really fetch. Okay, it makes use of anything that you use to fetch. If you are using Axios, it will fetch with Axios. So I've got React query here. Okay, I've got React query here. Okay, React query consumes inter, because inter will give React query everything that it needs. Okay, obviously my own forms, okay, which is my own React hook forms, they make use of React query or 10-stack query. Okay, so this is how things are at the moment. Okay, so this works beautiful for me. Okay, because now I don't have to take care of all the Axios and fetch and everything. Somewhere here I can quickly switch between Axios and your normal fetch. Okay, this is a at least for me, okay, it works and it makes my life easier. And then React hook forms handles the forms and everything. Now I took this to another level. I'm closing. Okay, I was like, I think using the container pattern, okay, the container presentation pattern, okay, I was soaked into the idea, or I was hooked into the idea that you can create a React hook container, sorry, a React container, okay, that will do a lot of things for other components for your children. Okay, it will collect a lot of data, a lot of dependencies, so that these guys, which are presentation components, which are here, they just consume everything that has been presented by the container. So I was like, okay, let me create my own container and call this container a form container. Okay, so it will collect everything that a form needs. For instance, is there a add method? If the form adds a form, then it will make sure it fits that to the form. What if maybe the form needs to know the next record? Let's say I'm about to save record number 7. Okay, so it must show me there. So this container will collect all of that information and just feed it to a form. Working on that, I found some loopholes, because there are some things that must be inside a React hook form, and then also there is yep on the other side. So I'm trying to pull these into pieces, and I'm realizing that most of these things, they work together. So trying to pull them up, it's a bit of a mission. So I resorted to creating a hook, okay, which is my own hook, to help me with making working with form a little bit simpler and easier. So the hook, it's used container form. I'm just going to write some sort of a short for it. So it's used container form. So when you call this hook, okay, when you use this React hook, okay, First of all, you tell it the structure of your form, the data, the shape of your form. Let's say you are going to save, it's just we are going to put the name and an email, and that's it. Okay, so you need to tell it so that if you give it that type, okay, that this is what I'm going to work on, this will feed your React hook form because it needs that. This will feed your yep, okay, because your yep needs it. And then when this guy React hook forms use a create method, okay, which basically it's coming from inter, but through this, okay, that type still will still be needed. Okay, so I hope you see the importance of being able to think about code. Okay, it makes your life easier. So nowadays, I think a lot about code since I have not employed any developer yet. So what I do, I just ask ChatGPT, okay, to code things for me, and ChatGPT will come up with a very beautiful code. To me, this stage is exciting, okay, because I didn't know that I can really get into a stage where I think about code. It's very interesting to think about code. It feels like you are solving real life problems. Okay, if you only stay in following tutorials, okay, in the tutorials that we make on YouTube, the problem are very artificial. Okay, they are very controlled. They are so controlled because we want to teach you something. Okay, so some of them, they might be close to real life, but some of them, they are too far away from your real life. Things like when we want to teach you object-oriented programming, we will say we've got a species or a group of dogs, and a dog inherit from cats, and a cat meows. Okay, and if you just by looking at that, okay, it's so low. Okay, I understand it's a starting point, but it doesn't give you the actual reality. So when you get into a point where you really think about code, you start to feel alive, at least for me. Okay, I am Matthew Msingati. I am the designer and developer. If this video has been helpful, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. Basically, I am this type of a person. Okay, I like to explain. Believe me, I'm an explainer. It from high school I've been explaining, university I was explaining, at work I always explain. Okay, most people, they say you talk too much. Okay, so if you might like content like this, please indicate so that I can continue to produce content like this, the content that will help you to feed so that you can be React conscious. Okay, so that you can understand React and coding and all the fundamentals. So, and that's about it. See you on the next one. Thank you so much for subscribing.